My name's John Hunter. I run Cuestars, and also I've created the Cuestars Academy. So just for those of you that perhaps tuning in first to one of these podcasts for the first time, very excited again today. I've managed to persuade Marc Lockley to do a podcast with me. We've both sat. We've reorganised this, haven't we? So that I think we're in shot. Hopefully, it's all right. So you can probably see Marc is busy, very busy, because what Marc does is, well, you tell the viewers what you do and sort of how you got into all of this.
I mean, I've been playing snooker since I was about 14. I worked for British Gas for getting on for 30 years, and then I sort of semi-retired. Had a little bit of illness for a while. Did a few websites for something to keep me occupied. And I did a snooker one to start with, so nothing to do with any of this really. And then someone asked me one day if I sell snooker cues, and I thought sort of a light bulb went off, and I thought that's not a bad call. And that was, God, that's got to be 11 years ago.
Okay, so so you started off then just by planning to sell snooker cues, but all the stuff you do now, the repairs and the maintenance, you must have had a background maybe outside snooker, or did you just have to learn all those things just off the cuff?
I mean, I've been fitting tips for, blimey. I mean, I'm 62 this year. I've been fitting tips since I was about 15, 16. I used to buy them in the local sports shop back in the days when there was just blue diamonds and elks.
We were chatting about that, weren't we? Life was easier there, wasn't it? It was a bit like when there was only a few channels. Marc is based in, you're just outside Portsmouth, aren't you?
Yeah, in Worsleyville.
So in Hampshire. So, because I know, I mean, it's great now on the Cuestars YouTube channel. We've got people tuning in from all around the country, around the world. So it's always nice to let people know, where we are today. And because Marc's in Hampshire, that's how we sort of met. Because in this area, I run the Cuestar competitions, and I don't know, how did we first met? I think I might have just cheekily rung you up.
Yeah, you might have done.
Tried to take you up for sponsorship. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
And then
I did go to a couple of events.
You did,
we used to have some stands with the cues on it.
Absolutely.
So it might have been
Yeah. And of course, it began as well. Another little shout out, because there's so many people that help out and made such a difference for Cuestars, particularly over these last sort of 10 or 15 years. The Bournemouth Constitutional Club, that's probably as well, didn't it? Because
that's right.
Herman there, they were looking to update everything there.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, all their members were getting, they were getting some nice cues, weren't they?
Yeah, it was quite a period, quite a few months where I was getting orders all the time from them.
That's it. You got them all kitted out, and they've done all right. They play well. They play better. It has made a difference. So that's our sort of connection. And then of course, whenever we do get together, we just love snooker, don't we? I mean, you couldn't actually call your business. You couldn't get that name right, could you? Snooker Crazy.
I don't even know. I remember sitting around for ages looking at different names, and someone said, "Oh, you're sort of crazy about snooker." I said, well, yeah, I am really.
Yeah.
And
it's a perfect, absolutely perfect name. I think a good place to start would it be the cue, I suppose? I mean, it seems the obvious place, doesn't it? We start there. So if in Cuestars, we've got lots of junior players. We've got lots of, in this area, we've got lots of junior clubs. So if we start at the beginning, say if you've got somebody, and it's not necessarily junior, but somebody that is, taking up snooker for the first time, start a range of cues, then what would you?
Price-wise or type-wise?
Yeah, well, price and type, because I have some views on this. I just see if they match up with yours.
And at the beginning, we bought everything as stock.
Just
to try and see what was reliable, what was easy to work on and maintain. I guess probably the cheaper end of the cues that we've got are about 135.
Okay, and if that comes, you get like the whole kit with that.
No, that's just the cue and a mini butt.
Okay. Well, that's what we meant.
If it comes as a set, because they all have a choice whether it comes with a cue or it comes as a set. If that comes as a set, it's 175.
Right. Okay.
And with that, I guess if someone starting, you get a cue, case, mini butt, telescopic, tail and chalk.
So a beginner's set to be totally kitted out, about 170, it's £175.
Yeah, we tend to focus on 3 different levels, if you like. So we'd go 175 for complete beginner. And those cues that we get, we actually strip them completely.
Yeah, you told me that, haven't you?
Yeah. We want to make sure that what's going on that we know.
Yeah.
And we want them to be nice and smooth.
Yeah.
So we'll strip it completely. We take the tip off.
Yeah.
And we make our own wax and oils, which people are always asking about. It's a whole new podcast, but we put our own wax and oil on it to make it smooth.
Yeah.
Then we put a decent tip on it.
Yeah.
So the tip doesn't throw you thinking that the cue's not very good or something like that. Well, it can do if you don't change it.
Well, come on to tips. I mean, you can have a bad cue, but if the tip's really good.
Yeah.
But it's if the cue's really good, but the tip's bad, then that's worse.
Then you think the cue's bad, but it's just a tip. So we wanted to sort of cut that out. So that's gone. So the cues are very, very good. For the price range.
Yeah.
And then from there we'd go to a medium set, which is 225 to 255.
Where will these cues come from? They'll come from Far East, will they?
Yeah, they're different places. Yeah, I mean, some are Thailand.
Yeah.
Some are China. The sort of cheaper ones.
Yeah.
Mainly Thailand.
That's it. And then you've got the basics of a good cue there, and then Marc sort of just finishes that off.
Yep.
And make sure then when it does go out to the person that it's got a good tip. As I said, it's nice and smooth, and all those things are correct. I was going to move on now to the next range of cues, and I know that you do the tailor. I keep wanting to say tailor-made, but of course
they are tailor-made.
Oh,
yeah, they are tailor-made.
Yeah, but I always think of golf when I think of tailor-made.
Yeah,
but they do call them tailor-made cues. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking before, aren't you? I mean, the people that have had these cues are very happy with them.
Yeah, it's of all the people that come, most people seem to sit in that price bracket.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've had a relationship with Gary Taylor since it must be 2015, I think.
Yeah.
We trialled a lot of different types of cues, like the shafts on Gary's, a grade 4 shaft.
Yeah.
Nice and firm.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the most popular now.
Yeah.
Lots of different designs in the butt, lots of different weights, but generally around about 9.5 mil tip. And they do pull cues as well.
Okay, and if somebody comes here then for a tailor-made cue, I mean, you've usually got quite a good selection here anyway, haven't you? I mean,
we've probably got about 100 on show. The guy came in this morning and bought a cue.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure what weight, so I gave him a really light cue,
and
then a really heavy cue, and then worked our way between it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't too fussed to start with as to what he had, but once he's seen the two ends of the scale, then he could gradually find what he wanted and then queue up. I get two types of people walk through the door. Some people want to queue for life.
Yeah.
Or they might have a starter queue and think, well, if I take snooker up seriously, I can then progress and get another one.
Yeah.
But I also get the magic wand searchers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
You see it a lot in golf.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
So they'll come and look for the magic wand.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked in a month, so they'll be back for another one and another one, and they're trying to buy their way out of trouble.
I'm going to do some name calling now because this will be funny. Winky, Neil Winkworth. Right. If you're watching this, and if anybody knows Winky, get him to watch this because you've just described Neil Winkworth.
Okay.
All right, because that's what he does. But anyway, shout out to Neil though, to Winky though, because he got through in the snooker. Then got to the final stage, which was brilliant.
I think you've hit on a good point because this is a little bit like when I used to play golf. Golfers themselves, you try and buy your way out of trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'll see the latest driver comes out and they give you another 10 yards. And my view on that after playing for 20 odd years was, if you're hitting it over the fence, it's going to give you an extra 10 yards over the fence.
Yeah.
So at that point there, when you're trying to buy your way out of it, go and get some coaching.
Yeah, yeah.
Get some coaching.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Same
I think
snooker.
Yeah, and also I'm going to take the opportunity to big up my thinking as well because I don't see myself as a coach. I see myself more doing the training because I love playing and competing.
Yeah.
So I know over the years the importance of the way you train. So it's those two things. So it's training and a good coach. And that is going to be, a better way, a better route to go down than thinking, like Marc said, that you could just find a magic sort of wand. What sort of price range are we talking about here now on a tailor-made, just so the
Q only, they're 175.
Oh, okay. So that's not bad.
Very reasonable. Most people will go for a kit. If they generally come for a kit.
Yeah.
And a kit, there's two types of kit in general. One is 225.
Yeah.
Which again is a cue, case, telescopic extension, mini butt, chalk and a towel.
Yeah.
And if they want an aluminium type case, which is a grade up,
and
it's 255.
Okay, again that's really good.
And every now and again, Gary will come down with some specials. that are a bit more expensive.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of one pieces and that, which will be a step up from that. And
Yeah,
they're
and
all different prices.
yeah, and I've seen them. They'll be more. What I mean, I'm showing me ignorance here, but inlays are they called? Where you've got the
splicing.
The splices. So
Yeah.
you know, I know the one that Tom's got. I mean, that must have taken some making because it's got loads and loads of.
I think it's got 24 in it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It does look really cool. So yeah, so obviously that involves a lot more work on them, and therefore that reflects in the price.
So when you get up to the more expensive cues, there should be, and generally there is, a lot more time taken on trying to get a nice tight grain and a straight grain.
Yeah.
So the cue will stay straight. But also when you get into the exotic woods on the bottom, they can become expensive.
Yeah, of
so
course.
If you get
to source them. I mean, even ebony was becoming harder to get hold of, wasn't it?
Something like a Thoya bow on the bottom.
Yeah.
Not really expensive, but then when you start having 4 splices and then another set of exotic woods above that, a lot of what you're putting on there, you're actually planing off to put another splice and another one.
Right. Okay.
So you're paying for the amount of time to do it.
Yeah.
But also the quality of the materials being more your exotic type woods.
We got Taylor. Any other range that you might suggest? Because we obviously got the beginners range, we got the Taylor range, but there are other cues.
Yeah, we do. We do the Thai range. We haven't got as many at the moment because they sell quick.
Yeah.
Generally with the Thai ones, we get the Thais blanks made in. They come in because I like to finish them myself.
Okay. Yeah.
So they'll come in. I finish them. Sometimes I splice them, do different things, then put ferrules on them. And I can also change the weight. So they're sort of half done, and I can custom them from then on.
Okay.
But we had 165 at one point.
Oh wow.
And we're down to 2.
Oh right. Okay. So they're pretty popular.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody calling you and you've got something in mind, and one of those cues could fit it, so you could adapt it a little bit to the customer's needs. So because I presume if you're putting a splicing on the end, it is then possible just to make the cue a little bit longer or just adapt it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we're always putting weights in and changing them slightly.
Okay.
I mean, it depends how busy I am because I mean, cases at the moment.
Yeah.
We sell from 55 up to what I'll call standard, which is cases we don't make.
Yeah.
Up to I think it's 115.
Okay.
And you get an aluminium case for that.
Yeah.
And they'll go from anything from 3/4 to put a standard cue in.
Yeah.
To 3/4 wide, or even a pull cue. 1 piece, three channel, where you can get a pull cue, a break cue, and ancillary equipment as well in it.
Right, so you've got lots of flexibility. So you cover that entirely. You make the cases now, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've had to stop for a while because it's just got too popular.
Okay. Because they are really nice looking cases, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I spend about 3 days to fully make a case.
Wow. So it's real, and it's real personalised then, isn't it? What I mean is so again, appreciate you're busy. But if somebody was prepared to wait,
they'd have to wait a while.
Okay.
Yeah, we to give you an idea, it just took off.
Yeah,
and I would say when I stopped the order book, we had 130 on there.
Oh my God!
And they start at £750 upwards.
Right. Yeah. So
we don't buy cheap material, so they're what I call a proper heavy-duty quality case, even to the degree where you can, if you get some ink on the suede inside, you could sand it off.
Oh my God! Right.
Some of them are so thin, go straight through.
Yes, it's that quality thing, isn't it? You're getting the real best quality. What's your feelings on tips? We've got to be careful because I know me and you, we could go on.
I could sit down and have done
subject, isn't it?
Yeah, I have done with lots of other retailers and cue makers out there. We've talked tips for hours.
Yeah.
To keep it as brief as I can,
I would
say back in the day, say 40 odd years ago when I started, Blue Diamonds and Elks.
That's it.
Both for a good tip.
Yeah, you nice and simple then, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very soft. You tap them in to get them to the hardness that you wanted, and then you'd play. And if you got a good batch of them, you would play them in over the summer and cut a few off and keep them as spares. And that was as hard as it got. It was probably as difficult as it got.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's more choice than you've ever had. There are literally hundreds of different makes of tips. And I can honestly say it's got to be the hardest thing to choose because
I found that
tip quality, without naming any names, I think since COVID,
Yeah.
In general, and I'm talking in general terms, someone will always come back and go, "Oh, no, this tip's great."
Yeah.
In general terms, I think it's gone like that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. You said that to me, haven't you?
I think top tips have got very hard.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind the tables haven't really changed that much for the average club player.
That's right, yeah.
So you're looking for a medium type tip that you might be able to pull apart slightly, and you can rub your nail over the top, and you'll just about fill the hairs, so you know you've got a nice dry chalk on it, and it's like a raspy fill.
Yeah, it does. That's when I've always found that's when a tip feels best, isn't it?
And that's when you go back to your Elks and Blue Diamonds.
Yeah.
They've all changed.
Yeah.
And I know there'll be people who look at it and go, no, I've got a tip that has been brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know that a lot of tips pre-COVID were really good.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whether they were sat there for that time. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But as I say, the choice is massive. But the tips being consistent is the biggest thing. So you find a tip you like, and then you go back and get an exactly the same tip again. For a player with harder tips, yes, I'd say that's an easy one.
Yeah, yeah.
For a player that wants a soft to a soft medium, that's different.
In terms of tips you stock, what
I'm changing all the time. I've got
I know you are. I've got
all the ADR tips, the laminated tips.
Yeah.
They're a bit firmer. You know, you can. This is the same with all laminated tips. If you go for a Talisman soft, they're not soft.
No.
But they're softer, but they still have grip.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're really popular, the ADRs.
Yeah.
We do the pro spins, which the pool players love them.
Okay.
Because they get that little bit of grip.
Yeah.
And you're in a smaller area, which is what they want when they're trying to move the smaller cue ball a little bit further.
Yeah.
I've still got Elks, Blue Diamonds. We've still got some tailor-mades. I've got some Grand tips.
Yeah.
I've still got Talismans.
Yeah.
I've just loads. I've got Elk Pros, and I've still got a lot of tips.
Yeah. Yeah.
My personal opinion on each one will vary.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I've got a lot of what I call unbadged tips that I've worked on.
Oh, okay.
And I like a sort of a soft medium tip. So when I'm looking as to what a tip is as regards its grade and its grip, I'll actually just drop them.
Okay.
So I'll drop them and listen to the sound.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll try and pull them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I go a lot on sound on it. Sounds daft, but sometimes you can get a soft tip and it'll be a press tip, and you drop it and it's like a pebble.
Yeah, yeah.
It's definitely not going to be soft.
No.
And you can tell as well because the height sometimes is really compressed.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would be looking for a tip height if you can get it between 6 and 7, which it's not gonna pull apart.
Yeah.
As long as it's a reasonable.
I used to call them accordion.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you get an accordion, that's it. Just take it off. That's.
I know if it's between 6 and 7, which is rare. So everyone will go measuring their tips now.
Yeah.
But it is rare. But I know that if I drop it, it's got the right sound. It's a bit raspy over the top, and I can only pull it a little bit. I know I can sand that down.
Yeah.
And I can rub some, and I'll say dry chalk over it, because I get a lot of talk about chalk, and they go, "Oh, I'm not getting the grip." And I'll ask them where they keep their cue and case.
Yeah, and of course moisture.
And the moisture will get into, say, triangle chalk, and they go, "Oh, it's rubbish." And you go, "But if you look at it, it's claggy because it's not dry." And not the older players used to put them on a radio.
This leads nicely on now to cue maintenance, because obviously part of cue maintenance is the tipping. So again, for people that are watching, that maybe are not too far away from you, you tip. I mean, they could pop down here. We'll obviously give you a call, and you'll tip their cue. I mean, if it was just tipping, that'll be done there and then. Would that be right to say that?
I did start. I mean, most people, because we obviously heavily into repairs, so you've got commitments with that. I think most people that do repairs, and then they get someone coming for a tip, they get a call ahead, and they'll probably book them in, and they'll leave the queue, and then they'll go back. What I try and do, because I did try that, but what I've come up with now is I'll try and book someone in at a time where I know that I can give them a gap.
Yeah, and
rather than they come again. So we're in the South Coast.
Yeah.
I've still got a guy from North Wales that comes.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, true. Yeah,
I've got loads of World Seniors players and sort of top amateurs, if you like, from London come down just for a tip.
Oh God!
So I've got them from all over.
Yeah, well, if they're like me and their tip lasts a year, that's fine, isn't it? You make a journey, get it done properly, and then you've not got to worry about that. I mean, it's only a problem again if you're in one of these people that's constantly chopping and changing. Yeah. So I
would book them in.
Yeah, so book them in.
But I do it there and then.
Yeah, so that comes on to my, that leads on nicely to my next question. You when sticking a tip, So we talked about all the different variations, types of tips. Bonding that tip to the cue.
Yeah.
I think you said to me, just normal, isn't it? Super glue gel.
Well, it's just. I'm using a gel at the moment.
Yeah.
I have used a liquid.
Oh yeah.
You'll get people say, no, you can't use a liquid. It'll go brittle.
Yeah.
And it soaks right up into the tip.
No,
I did do a video once where when I put a tip on, I turn it over and I put a noughts and crosses on it.
Yeah.
I haven't always done it, but I'll do it anyway.
Okay.
And then, funny enough, through COVID, I was looking for a few things to do. And I thought, right, I've disproved this one. So I bought a lot of different glues that everyone, because if you ask someone what's the best glue out there, you'll get 100 answers.
Yeah.
And they'll all be right.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I'll stick tips on. And
Yeah.
I'll put a liquid one on and see how far it soaks up. And I put a few different tips on, and then I sliced them down.
Yeah.
And I actually got all the way down to the noughts and crosses bit, which is paper thin. And I didn't get to the glue.
No.
So I think, and that's with soft tips and porous tips.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's as big a game change.
I got told, is this a load of nonsense? I got told that you dampen, that watery glue sits on the top anyway, so it doesn't soak into the wood of the cue or the tip. But does
it'll sit on the surface?
Yeah, but that's probably.
But if you get a glue, like I used that glue and the tip came flying off. My thing to say then would be, how old's that glue?
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you take, I'm looking at a shelf now. But if you let's pick one out. Take a liquid Loctite glue, which is runny.
Yeah.
You put it on there. I used it for years. It was fine. If a tip came off, I guarantee you go back and look at that bottle for whoever's doing it.
Yeah.
And it will be yellow or it will be old. And when you tip it, it doesn't run like water.
Yeah.
It runs slowly.
Yeah.
If it's running slowly, it hasn't got the same glue.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I use the gel, which I use at the moment, and to be fair, depending on what the tip's made of and which particular one, I use different glues.
Yeah.
But the gel, if you get one with an old shelf life, then you've got the adhesive part, the liquid part, and you've got the gel itself, which is mixed the same. But if you get, and I won't mention a name, but if you get a particular one where it's clear, and I'm thinking of one of the more popular ones, if you tip that and it's old, the liquid is separated from the gel.
Oh, right, yeah. So now
the gel's not as adhesive.
Yeah, no.
So it depends how old the glue is. If you look after a cue, it should last your lifetime. But I would say in normal terms, if someone's not looking at your cue once a year to say how it's going, then you miss bits.
Yeah.
And then by the time someone comes back with I get a lot of John Paris Ultimates come in where people play a lot and they're passionate about the game, they don't maintain it, and all of a sudden they'll start to feel little ridges where the arrows are.
Yeah,
that's on the grain.
I've got
and it's basically worn down. I mean, if you can walk over stone for a couple of 100 years and you'll wear it down. This is only wood.
Yeah.
So if it's not grain filled and looked after, and depending on how you look after your cue as well, you can wash all the grain out.
So what sort of time span? Every year or so? Do you think? Depending on how often you play.
If you're having the tip, unless you're fitting the tips yourself,
then
obviously you're going to not gain that knowledge from someone else that does it for a living. But for cues, if you're bringing it back, get it done at the same time as your tip.
Yeah.
And I'm normally giving an opinion. When I pick a cue up, I'll start sort of having a look at it and seeing what I've got to play with, and I'll give people advice anyway.
Yeah.
But as regards dampen a cloth, I mean, I've a guy come in the other day, he soaks a cloth and he washes it with a proper wet cloth dripping. If you go back to the 80s, I think you had guys like Jimmy White and that.
Yeah.
They would have a cloth, they would have a damp cloth.
That's it.
And even now, which is what people say, don't put water near wood. Even now, with 40 years of playing, I'll soak a cloth, I'll squeeze it out so there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And I'll rub it down the 4 sections of the cue.
Yeah.
And I'll spin it quickly and I'll wipe it with the dry section. And within a minute, in general terms, it'll evaporate and it'll be super smooth.
Yeah.
But the subtle difference is I'm grain filling my cue when it needs it.
Yeah.
I'm oiling it twice a year.
Yeah. So
I'm looking after it.
Yeah. So
the water
can't seep in. That's the key thing, isn't it? Yeah. So what you're saying is, water and wood are okay, assuming you'll maintain the cue.
If it's protected.
And you've got the protection on it, then that allows you. And I think that's a really good message. And so that you can find out more about that, you've got a video I can put a link to, because that's a really good one. I think that's an area where a lot of players do end up destroying their cues.
In general terms, because I'll umbrella quite a few different types of tips.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I normally charge £15.
Okay.
If it's anything like an Elk Pro or there's some new types, Horo tips, I think they're a little bit more expensive, then I'll charge a bit extra.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So the cost of the tip is including the £15.
Yeah.
Moving on from the tip, so you talked about obviously making sure the right lacquer is on there to protect it from moisture, and then you talked about the grain filler. So if somebody's looking to have their cue sort of brought back into real good condition, again, if the cue is really bad, and I mean, I imagine there's a time factor here, isn't there? I mean, the worse the cue is, the condition the cue's in, the longer it takes, so the cost might be greater. Or is this just a sort of set price?
Sometimes, I mean, you can see the condition of some of the cues if you want to look at a whole load of before and afters on the Facebook page that I've got.
Yeah.
But in general terms, for a full refurb, as long as there's nothing major, then it'd be 85.
Okay. Yeah.
If it includes a ferrule,
125.
125. If it's a titanium ferrule, 130.
Oliver's was quite funny, wasn't it? Oliver Sykes, because he, I mean, we're going to drop you in it, Buster. You're not going to be happy with me. But there was bite marks in it, wasn't it?
I love that cue.
Yeah, I know. It was a lovely cue.
I think Oliver was off abroad to play in something important.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd ever been touched.
No. Only by him.
Since he was that tall.
Yeah.
Apparently, when he missed a shot, so he might bite it, and he had sharp teeth. So I'm told. So when the cue came, if you look at the actual shaft itself, there was a hard bit. Then all the arrows had no grain filler.
No.
So it's a bit like a ski slope.
Yeah.
Obviously, the grime from your hands and the chalk. I mean, you naturally sweat a little bit without realising it, and the chalk and the sweat from your hands made it go green.
Yeah.
So you've got a cue like that. You could feel all the grain.
Yeah.
Because there was no grain filler left.
No.
And you had all the bite marks.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of dents in the butt. So I looked at that, and I love that.
Yeah.
Because I know that's going to be a big transformation.
You're gonna. And I think what's great about that, I expect, Oliver, he don't show too much emotion, but I'm sure he was happy because he must have. Because I think on a few occasions he had mentioned to me about changing his cue or getting another cue, and perhaps the fact that he sort of was aware sort of it was going green and then there was all bite marks and stuff. So he must have been delighted because I remember when the cue came back, it was like new again, wasn't it? So there you go. If you've got hungry occasionally and you're bitten into your cue, then Marc might still be able to repair it for you. There's two questions as a snooker person that a real big topic. So I'll start with the first one: ash or maple on a cue. There you go.
I love the look of ash.
Yeah.
My first cue was a maple.
Yeah.
So for smoothness, maple.
Yeah.
But I love ash.
Yeah.
Because you've got the grain.
Yeah.
Although funny enough, I turn my badge to the right, so I'm looking down the grain line.
Oh, okay.
Rather than the arrows.
Oh, I like the arrows, but but I know most of them when they put the flat piece in, because I like the flat piece under my hand. Immediately, I'm stuck because the flat piece is in the wrong place for me.
Well,
so
that cue there.
Yeah.
Funny enough. So we're doing this
because I like the arrows and I like the flat underneath and the arrows on the top.
With this guy on that one.
Yeah.
It's got the arrows on the top.
Yeah.
The exotic woods on the top.
Yeah.
But the flat's going to be on the bottom.
Oh right, because so he's like me then. I understood I'm quite unusual with that choice. But that's the nice thing about ash. It is really your own, isn't it? The grain and it I don't know. There's just something. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I know that there's players that swear by the maple cue, and if you get a good one,
95% are ash now. The object of a ferrule. I'm sure someone will correct me, but the object of a ferrule is to protect the end of the cue so it doesn't split.
Yeah.
If you go back through the years, you've obviously had many different types of materials, from the pigeon ring type thing to like animal horn and things like that. There's loads of different
types.
And
I've seen cues where there's no ferrule at all. Somebody's just stuck the tip on the end of the wood.
Yeah, I do a lot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys come in and say, I want the ferrule.
Yeah.
My dad had one.
Yeah.
My dad had one,
Yeah.
So you're trying to get something that really is the same density as the wood itself, so it doesn't change the characteristics of the wood.
Ah, right, yeah, that's a good point.
I think
that's a good way to think of it. Yeah,
so if it's the same mass, density, and everything else, great. But as you say, the thinner that it isn't still doing its job at the same density as the wood, then you're there. I mean, there's a There's a great guy out there called Andy Hunter. I was lucky enough to talk to Andy before COVID and had a bit of his time. I like him as a cue maker because he's only interested in how the cue plays. He doesn't make lots of cues for people, but he's a wealth of knowledge. And he's got like antlers that he'll pick up that he's dragged in, and he'll make a ferrule out of it, and he'll put it on his cue, and he'll go off and play with it.
Oh wow!
Fantastic, knowledgeable guy. And sort of worth a punt. Look at his videos.
Oh,
okay. He's got videos out there.
Well,
but if you wanted to talk about ferrules, he's got videos with all the different ferrules out there, different materials, and he'll talk about that.
All right. Okay. So there we go. So we've sidestepped that one really. So we would say go and watch his videos. We'll check out his videos, and then you make. I guess what you're saying, and I'm a big believer in this. Educate yourself. YouTube is amazing now. So that's a good recommendation there from Marc. So go and watch Andy. You said Andy Hunter. Yeah. Again, I'll put his link in there, and then you'll be able to watch that and work out for yourself what might suit you. If you're coming from a brass ferrule to a titanium ferrule, which has been like the thing lately, isn't it? I'm right in saying that you've got a problem straight away because you're going to have to go. You're going to lose a little bit of your cue.
If you go to titanium, then if you want type for type, in other words, take a brass one on a particular size, put a titanium one on. There's a pot up there. I've got about 200 different titanium ferrules.
Oh, okay. So I'll try and match it. Yeah, so you might be able to match it then.
I generally tend not to take wood off unless you have to, because I'll try and get a titanium to fit that, what's existing.
Okay, but the next question I'm going to ask, I understood the reason players like titanium is you get less throw. And the reason you get less throw with side is that it's thinner. But of course, if you're then trying to get it to match the size of the brass, you're not going to get that advantage.
In that particular circumstance, So if you've got a thick-walled brass ferrule and you want a thick-walled titanium ferrule,
you really getting
defeating the object.
So I bet there'll be a lot of players that have done that, going out there and then thinking, oh, wait a minute, this isn't doing anything different. Right, so I hope you enjoyed watching me and Marc chat about wander around on this subject, which is a brilliant subject. Snooker equipment, snooker cues, tips. So hopefully we've covered all the things that you would like to know. But always feel free. I'll drop Marc in it here now. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got all the videos in there. So if you need something, you can fill his comments box.
Yeah, the Snooker Crazy Group. It is.
Yeah, not mine. So if you like these style of podcast videos, then please give them a thumbs up. I've got to get all this right. Thumbs up. The junior players know all this. And then as a like, and then of course please subscribe to the channel and Marc's channel too. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you again very soon, hopefully. Bye.
Goodbye.